This happened to me about 3 years ago during a solo road trip I took from Colorado to Arizona. I've always loved long drives. Something about empty highways at night is strangely calming. It's quiet, the road feels endless, and for hours it's just you, the sound of your tires, and the glow of your headlights. That night started like any other road trip. I left in the evening so I could drive through the night and avoid traffic. The first few hours were easy, music playing, cruise control on, nothing but open road in front of me. As the night got later, the highway got emptier. By the time it was close to midnight, there were barely any cars around. The road cut through miles of open land, with nothing but darkness on both sides. Then I noticed headlights behind me. At first, it didn't seem strange. Cars come and go all the time on highways. But after about 20 minutes, the same headlights were still there. They weren't getting closer. They weren't falling back either. Just sitting there in my mirror, the exact same distance behind me. I didn't think too much about it at first. Maybe the driver had their cruise control on like I did. But then I decided to speed up a little. The headlights sped up too. So I slowed down, and the headlights slowed down with me. That's when I started paying more attention. For the next 30 minutes, the car stayed behind me. Same distance, same speed, never passing, never turning off. The highway was completely empty besides us. Eventually, I decided to try something. I switched lanes and slowed down, giving the driver plenty of room to pass. But the car didn't pass. Instead, it slowed down too, staying directly behind me. At that point, I started feeling uneasy. I checked my mirrors again, trying to see what kind of car it was or who was driving. But the headlights were so bright that I couldn't make out anything behind them. Just two blinding lights floating in the darkness. I kept driving like that for another 15 minutes before something even stranger happened. The headlights suddenly turned off. Completely. At first, I thought the car had exited the highway or pulled over. But when I looked back into the darkness, I could still see the outline of the vehicle. It was still there, following me, without its headlights on. That's when my stomach dropped. We were miles away from the nearest town, and suddenly this car was following me in total darkness. I didn't know if the driver was messing with me or if something was seriously wrong, but either way, I didn't want to find out. So I started looking for the next exit. The problem was, there weren't many. For nearly 10 minutes, it was just empty highway and darkness. Finally, I saw a small gas station sign up ahead. The moment I saw the lights in the distance, I felt a wave of relief. I slowed down and took the exit, pulling straight into the gas station parking lot. And that's when something strange happened. As soon as I turned in, the car behind me turned its headlights back on. But it didn't follow me. Instead, it kept driving past the exit, slowly. As the car passed under the gas station lights, I turned to look. And what I saw still gives me chills. I couldn't see anyone in the driver's seat. The car rolled past like normal, headlights shining down the road. But the driver's seat looked completely empty. No silhouette, no movement, nothing. I stood there in the parking lot watching the car disappear down the highway until the lights faded into the darkness. I stayed at that gas station for almost 40 minutes before getting back on the road. And the entire drive after that, I kept checking my mirrors, just waiting to see those headlights appear again behind me. But they never did. It was the summer after my first year of college, and I decided to take a road trip with my roommate, Tyler. We'd been friends since high school, and we both loved driving through the desert and finding places no one else ever seemed to visit. We started early in the morning in Albuquerque, New Mexico, planning to drive down to Tucson, Arizona, for what we thought would be a relaxing weekend. The plan was simple: hit the road, stop whenever we wanted, explore some old ghost towns, and smoke a few cigars by the campfire. The first few hours of the trip were perfect. The highway was wide and mostly empty. The sun was shining, and the music was loud. Every so often, we'd see a sign advertising a small roadside attraction or an old cafe, and we'd pull in just to stretch our legs. Around noon, we stopped in a tiny town called Lordsburg, just inside New Mexico near the Arizona border. We grabbed snacks, filled up the tank, and hit the road again. We were about an hour outside of town when it started to feel like something was off. We were on a stretch of highway that cut through nothing but open desert for miles. The sun was high, the wind looked like heat waves rising off the asphalt, and there wasn't another car in sight. It was peaceful in a way that almost felt too quiet. I remember looking at Tyler and saying something stupid like, "This place looks like Mars," and we both laughed. Then I checked the rearview mirror. At first, I didn't think much of it, but then I noticed headlights. Not close, not right behind us, but far enough back that you could just barely make them out through the glare of the midday sun. I mentioned it to Tyler. "Probably someone just cruising," he said. "This is a highway. Someone catches up, they pass us. No big deal." I agreed, but every time I checked the mirror, the headlights were still there. We drove for another 10 minutes, and they were still there. Then 15 minutes, and they weren't getting closer, but they weren't falling back either. Just sitting there in my mirror, the exact same distance behind us. It started to bother me, so I said, "Let's pull over and let them pass." We found a small turnout on the side of the road, just wide enough for our car, and came to a stop. The car behind us kept going, past us, and disappeared for a few seconds. Then it reappeared behind us again, like it had turned around. I didn't want to freak Tyler out, so I tried to act calm. "Probably just someone who missed the turn," I said. He didn't say much, but I could see his jaw tightening. We started driving again. For the next half hour, every time we looked back, those headlights were there. Always the same distance, never passing, never disappearing. I started to get that feeling in the pit of my stomach, the kind that says something strange is happening. Then the radio cut out. 1 second I had music playing, and the next instant there was only static. I reached up and turned the dial. Nothing. Just static. I looked at Tyler. "What the hell?" he said. We looked at each other, and at that moment, the headlights in the mirror went from being far back to being just behind us. Way too close. I slammed the car into drive and hit the gas. The car behind us matched our speed instantly. Every time we sped up, they sped up. Every time we slowed down, they slowed down. They weren't watching us, they were tracking us. Then it got weirder. The whole drive, that car never made a move to pass, never used a turn signal, never changed lanes. Nothing. Just stayed right behind us, silently, unblinking. The sun was starting to drop toward the horizon, and the shadows were getting long. We came up to a small stretch of road where there was a single gas station, the only one for probably 50 miles. I looked at Tyler and said, "Pull in." He hesitated, but then turned into the parking lot. The moment we came to a stop, the headlights behind us slowed down, but didn't exit the highway. The car just stopped on the road, staring at us. I turned off the engine. We just sat there, staring back. After a minute, I stepped out of the car and walked toward the highway a few feet, just to get a look. I expected to see the driver step out or something, but there was nobody there. Not inside the car, not beside it, nothing. Just a dark sedan with tinted windows. I took a few steps closer, then turned and sprinted back to the car. Tyler had the doors locked already. We didn't speak. We just drove away. For the rest of the trip, we never saw that car again. The radio never cut out again, and when we got back home and told people about it, they asked the usual questions. Maybe it was a cop. Maybe it was someone who just liked staying behind cars. But I know what I saw, and I know what it felt like, because for almost an hour, on an empty stretch of road in the middle of nowhere, something was following us, and it didn't want to be passed.